Hi, I'm Kitty Feldy, and welcome to another edition of the Book Club of the Year for Young Adults. We're talking about a very interesting book today. It is called Godless, and it is by Pete Hautman. And I am joined by a trio of middle schoolers who are here from Wilmington Middle School. And here next to me is Joseph McConaughey. Hi, Joseph.
Hello.
And Lydia Gutierrez. Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
Hello. And Richard Padilla. Hi, Richard.
Hi.
Hi. Well, let's talk a little bit about this book. Who wants to tell what it's all about?
I'll start.
All right, Richard, go for it.
Godless is basically about a boy who is tired of his parents' religion because maybe they're too hard on him, and they're like, his mom is like a control freak, I guess, and he wanted to make his own religion because he wanted to see other than what his father said. So, and he gets in a lot of mess.
Well, let's talk about what happens. What's this religion based on, Lydia?
They're worshiping a water tower, and
why?
Because they think that since water is a really good resource that they use around the city, that they think that's really powerful and that's their god.
And the water tower? Why the water tower, Joseph?
Because there was a boy named Henry who punched the boy named Jason, and he fell on the floor, and he was looking up, and he happened to see a water tower, and something like dawned on him, and he was like, hey, we could worship the water tower.
This gets him into a lot of trouble with a lot of different people. How come? What happens next? Lydia?
Well, he gets in a lot of trouble because he can't manage the religion. So he has a lot of people not a lot of people, but he has his friends join it, and then since he can't manage it, afterwards they try to climb the water tower and they get caught, and so that makes him go to jail, and then it grounds him for life.
What are some of the things that go wrong, Richard?
It starts out by him wanting to climb the water tower because since everyone worships a god that you can't see, touch, or kind of have a personal relationship, but not very a human. So he was like, well, if we were to worship something, why can't it be something that we can feel, touch, and relate to that is on earth? So he wanted to relate to something that he can touch, like a water tower, and he felt that it's powerful because water is a great resource and you humans cannot live without it. So he wanted to make that known that it is a great resource.
I want to talk a little about the theology of it, but we got an email. Book Club of the Year got an email today, as a matter of fact, from the writer, Pete Hautman. He sent us an email.
Whoa.
And he says, I'm actually 3,000 miles away in New York City today, so this message is being slowly pecked out on my iPod. He says, I have a question for the book club. At the end of Godless, is Jason happier, smarter, or better off than he was at the beginning? And why do you think that?
I think he's better off from the beginning because it all started out with him getting punched, and if he didn't get punched, he wouldn't have to, people get mad at him, and no one likes him anymore, but everyone's mad at him.
Even at the end of the book?
Yeah, they're still mad at him. But
did he not learn anything?
He learned that to have faith in what you believe in your religion, it will make you stronger, so you don't have to why do I have to do this if I don't see the person? But you have to have a strong faith.
I'd like to add to that. It's also, I think it's a good learning experience for him because if he wouldn't have never went through that, later in life he might have went through something more serious as an adult. And instead of going through it now and learning what it is about and having the feeling of yeah, I went through that, I know what it's like.
Well, what kind of lesson do you think later in life, going through what he went through with the water tower religion, I mean, why would that help him later in life, do you think?
Maybe because since he knows now that religion is a serious like subject to think upon, to like research more and take it seriously, and if he's serious about it, to like not just make it because maybe he wants to be different than someone else, to actually put thought into it.
Lydia, what do you think? Is he better off at the end than he was at the beginning?
Yeah, I think he really learned, like, he wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to worship it anymore, but I think he learned better now, like, how strong your faith has to be, like, because most of the time when you're worshiping something is because you have strong faith in it. So he doesn't really have that faith, so he stays with the water tower for now. But then that for now means like he'll probably change his mind later, because he knows that like that's not going to go very far for him.
I thought a long time before we chose this book, because I thought it could really make a lot of people mad.
Yeah.
Because religion isn't something we generally talk about, you know, especially in public schools and things like that.
Yeah, religion gets a lot of people mad. Like, you might offend someone else, and they get on your case, and just
And
I
a
don't
guy
like
who
talking about religion. It's like big
politics.
blur.
Like politics, yeah. And a guy who invents a religion about a water tower could probably upset a lot of people.
Yes.
Destroy a town.
I think the author might have thought about worshiping a water tower, because if he like had wrote about this, he might have put some thought into it too.
Well, what do you think the writer is trying to tell us about faith, about religion?
Maybe to like do research on it before you just get yourself into something that you don't know about, and not to just make something up that you know isn't gonna last.
Well, what did it make you think about, you know, your own faith or your own religion? Did it make you look at the way you were brought up?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it differently. Like a religion is not a game. You can't like just, I'll make up a religion and then forget about it. It really takes some time and a lot of followers to help you.
But Jason's struggling in this book. Jason is having a problem believing everything his parents had taught him. He was brought up Catholic, and he's goes to the youth group, but he has a hard time with it.
Yeah. Well, I think too because of his age, since he's a teen, and then you're just kind of bored because it was during the summer too. So he had really nothing to think about, and then so I guess that really like brought him up to a point like, oh, I don't know, like he probably like, oh, I should like question my religion, because he didn't really have a lot of faith in it, and then he was jealous of his dad because his dad really did have a really strong faith. So he really he was really confused. It was a confused period of time.
Yeah. He didn't know if he like, do I stick with my dad who like always thinks this religion is good for me, or should I just like change it and be something else? He's like confused.
Well, could you identify with Jason? Have these thoughts gone through your own head at your age yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yes and no. Okay, well, it's Richard, you want to start?
Just recently, because my family, one side of my family, has two different perspectives, and I have a hard time choosing because...
Two different religions?
Yes, because I have a hard time picking, because I have to really do... I'm doing research on it right now and trying to pick out which one, what suits me best.
Are you getting pressure from one side or the other?
No, they're actually helping me.
That's good. That's good. Well, I don't know. How do you do research so that's up in your head, but then how do you make a decision about that?
Well, you have to feel in your comfort zone. You have to be comfortable where you're at, like going to different churches, going to a Catholic and a Christian church, and seeing what you like best.
I'm going to come back to you, Lydia, but Joseph, you said you were having the same kind of struggle at this age.
Yeah, because I was like, why do we go to church? Like, if you go to church and you talk about like stuff that never happened to you, like, oh, I lost all my money and I'm in struggle, but God is still there. Like, that never happened to me. So I'm like, what?
how am I supposed to relate to that?
So you're looking for something that really relates to your life today.
Yeah.
And you're not finding that right now.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of getting to me now.
It's sinking in.
Yeah.
But Lydia, you said no, you're comfortable where you're at right now.
Yeah, I am. Like, I'm really comfortable. Like, I have, like, before questions sometimes, but then I kind of went back to it and it made more sense to me. Like, oh, yeah. And then it got to my head and I just kept at it.
I went to Catholic school for 12 years. And then when I went to college, or, I stopped going to church for a while, but then I started going back. But because it's kind of like, sometimes it's like the waves, sometimes you feel very strong and sometimes you just don't. Depends on where that's at. So would this book, do you think, would middle schoolers relate to this struggle that Jason is having in here? This is not something that older people go through. This is something that middle schoolers are struggling with.
Yes.
Like, probably not, like, right now.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe in 2 or, like, 1 year, because he's, like, 16 in that book. So probably there is people that are questioning their own religion, but then there's some that really have strong faith in them because their parents, they have strong faith, so then that makes their kids have strong faith.
Did you find the youth group funny, the meetings? Or did I just...
Yeah,
I found that
the
funny.
TPO.
Yeah.
describe them?
Just Al.
It's just Al, the guy who ran the meetings. Why were they funny? I was trying to think of this later. Why did they strike me as so funny?
Because of, I guess, they mentioned his speeches.
Oh yeah, the speeches.
He's one guy. He's one great guy.
Talking about God.
Yes.
He's one great
One
guy.
great dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it just
awesome.
sounded awful. There's a phrase that the writer uses to describe Jason. His parents tell him that your friends listen to what you say.
Yeah.
Do you think
That
Jason knows? Yeah.
Yeah, and he got like his dad tells him that, and he gets that stuck in his head a lot. Like, wow, like my friends listen to me.
Do you think he believes that though, especially at the beginning of the book?
Yeah, he's not really. Because he thought that they were just going to give up and go away and it'd just be like nothing. It's like if you get an ice cream and you eat it, it's all gone. It's done. You have nothing else to do.
He didn't realize that it would last. This
Yeah. You think it would
pretend
get
religion he
serious.
set up.
It was easy for him to make the religion, but it wasn't easy for him to keep up with it because he had a hard time like managing it.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, I think that was interesting that who got to be the boss, who got to be the Pope in this religion and how everybody sort of wanted to be in charge. What happened?
I guess he was the main like person in the religion because he thought of it and made it up and came up with the idea of even making a religion. I mean, if it wasn't for him, nothing of this sort kind of thing would have happened.
Yeah.
And
Why? Go ahead.
Yeah, and everything kind of like just led to him. Like Shin, his friend Shin, and then Henry, they're like, oh, like you should be in charge. And then so like, yeah, that's how he got to be in charge.
I think it kind of surprised him that he was in charge. I mean, I don't think at the beginning of the book, he thought of himself as being this leader.
I think he did because he called himself Kahuna or something like that.
Oh, he did call himself Kahuna, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, I'm in charge and I'm created this religion. But I didn't think it would go that far.
Well, he kind of also thought of himself as sort of with the nerd crowd, too.
Yeah, because he hang out with Shin.
Well, let's describe Shin.
Well, in the story, it said that he was like really skinny and he was like
Nerdy.
and he like knew a lot. Like once he got into something, he really stuck to it.
Like what? Describe some of the things he was really into.
Like snails
Gastropods.
It wasn't just snails.
or
Gastropods.
frogs.
Yeah, but he had, what did he
slimes.
do? He set up this whole...
It was like environment for
Yeah, it's like
them.
a fish tank full of
Yeah.
snails and pods and slime and
And
stuff everywhere.
I think that's what led them to the water tower when they were searching for the gastropods.
Yeah.
But what happens to Shin through the book? Because he changes quite a bit also.
Yes.
Yeah, because Jason gets him like really into it, and like I said before, once he gets into it, he really sticks to it. So then afterwards, like when he was telling Jason, "No, you're not taking it serious," and then he's like, oh, like the water towers can talk to me, like I can feel it. And then he's like, you know what, I have to climb the water tower, because the first time, like all of them went up there except for him. And then, yeah, because he chickened out. And then, so afterwards, he's like, I have to go up there, I have to go up there. And once he got up there, like, nobody could get him down. And then Jason went up there because he had seen him. But then afterwards, Jason had to call the cops to get him down.
Well, I wondered, was Shin, you know, I had it sort of in my head, was it that he was one of these guys who, you know, if he went to a Star Trek convention, you know, he'd wear the ears, he would, you know, talk Vulcan and all that kind of stuff. Or was there, he would be, or was he, I mean, was he just kind of a fanatic, or was he kind of had some mental instability there? Like, I couldn't quite decide.
He didn't, he was
psychological problem.
More of like a shy person.
Yeah.
Like, and I think toward the end, he had to strive to do what others were doing, going up the water tower. And he was very upset that he couldn't do it because he had trouble doing it.
He was very scared of that.
Yes. And I guess toward the end, he had to do it. Like, there was no stopping him.
Yeah. Do you know people like Shin in school who are sort of single-minded? You know, you can't stop them from anything once they get their mind set on something.
Yeah, I have a friend like that.
Stubborn.
Stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Shin was kind of weird. He had to go in like to this ball mode where he just put his head down, like just stayed like that.
Like a turtle.
Yeah, he said he hid in his shell.
Now, there's one girl in this book. What's her name?
Magda.
And why does she like Henry, the bully?
Because he's a bad boy. Yes.
That's what my brother told me one time. I said, "How come you get all the girls?" And he goes, "You know, Kitty, the girls like the bad boys." I went, "Oh, okay, that explains it, I guess." So that's it. That's your explanation, is that they like the bad boy, huh?
Yeah. Well, she was like afraid of him, but then she was like, "Wow, he's like really strong," or he's like.
She felt. I guess she felt protected when she was around him.
Well, why did she like Jason?
She never said that she didn't like him, but she never said she did. It's just that she was more attracted to Henry than to Jason.
Now, Jason describes the way he looks. Do you remember how he describes himself?
Yeah.
Kind of stocky and freckles, no neck.
He's like half a gorilla.
He called himself fat, like a lot.
Yeah, he did.
And he said people said he looked like a very famous actor-director. Do you remember who he said?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Orson Welles. Do you guys know who Orson Welles is?
No.
Oh, you'll have to start watching. Yeah, he's an old actor and a very, very famous actor.
Yeah,
he's
he
like, I don't
mentioned
know
that.
who Orson Welles is.
He's got a voice that's like, you know, as low as you could possibly go. He was kind of a big guy. As he got older, he got really big. And you'll have to look and see, because when I read that, I went, "Oh, I know what he means," right away. What about the fact that this is pretty dangerous? The thing that these kids do, going up there to the top of the. I mean, I had this concern. I thought, "Oh yeah, this is a book everybody will read, and they'll immediately want to go out and climb to the top of a water tower." Not that we have that many, but.
You can't even find a water tower.
You don't have one in Wilmington, I take it.
I think we do. It was like
close by Wilmington, but it's not in Wilmington.
Yeah, and there's a lot of oil tankers. There's more oil towers. But that's what I kept thinking was, would someone say, "Oh, I should do that"? Would you do that after reading this?
No,
they got so much trouble. It's like,
because
I'd be scared.
not even playing around.
The lesson he learned, like,
get in so much trouble.
It makes me think, like, well, why would I do it if the things he did got him in trouble?
Well, except, I mean, okay. So you guys are obviously not the bad boys then, or girls. Huh?
Yeah, I'm insane. I wouldn't do that.
Well, I kept thinking, you know, so they get inside the water tower and they swim around in that, and even though they cleaned out the water and put new water in, I thought, oh, I don't want to be drinking that stuff.
Couldn't they take a bath first?
And they were sweating.
It was pretty disgusting.
Probably climb a roof, but that's probably closest.
How did the writer write it when they were on the outside of the tower? I mean, did you sort of hold your breath or feel nervous about falling when you were reading that part of the book?
Yeah, like Henry when he swung on the catwalk.
Say that again, what?
When Henry, he swung on the catwalk.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Jason was like, "No, stop playing around." but that was pretty crazy what they did.
I would say, yeah, not something I would want to do. If you were to invent your own religion, I mean, what would you see as your water tower? I mean, what would you, have you ever thought about that?
The sun.
The sun, okay. It's been done, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No. But no, that's very good. It's, you know, a lot of early, you know, Aztec kind of stuff. There was a lot of worshiping of the sun. Yeah. What else? What else would be a godlike thing to worship?
Ourselves as a person.
Whoa, talk about narcissism. There you go. So you'd like to be God yourself, I take it then?
Yes. Well, not me personally.
No?
Yeah, well, like everyone has their own God. Like everyone as their own, not one person as a God. Just everyone is their own inner God, because they keep themselves going and strive for what they want.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Joseph?
I wouldn't want to be a god because it'd be too difficult. People would be like, "Oh, can you do this?" I'm like, "No."
You wouldn't be an all-powerful God.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what would you pick as your godlike symbol, do you think, if you were inventing a religion?
A building, I guess.
Anything in LA? That's what I kept thinking. You know, this is obviously not LA. You know, this is obviously not Wilmington.
Worship the Staples Center.
There you go, the Staples Center. That could be. Could Kobe be the high priest?
Yeah.
So, on the whole, would you recommend this book to other people?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
It's a great learning experience.
Why?
Because after everything they went through, they learned from their mistakes, kind of, and went forward thinking and like.
Yeah, but if I heard you say that, I'd say, oh, that makes it sound like it's a teaching book. Make it sound interesting to me.
It's fun.
It was a fun book, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would recommend
Kind of on the edge.
It's pretty like free-spirited, like they did kind of what they wanted to do, but then after they realized that they got in trouble for it, then like they stopped afterwards. So they're pretty strong. They had pretty strong faith about it at first, but then after they got themselves thinking more, because since they got in trouble, they didn't think it would be such a good idea to keep on going.
Lydia, you sound like the kind of person who worries about getting in trouble. No?
Well, at home, a lot. I
Sounds
get
like
in
something you
trouble
think
a
about a
lot,
lot.
that's
Yeah.
why.
Okay, all right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
Joseph, recommend this book to somebody else. Why?
I wouldn't,
You wouldn't recommend it. Tell me why not.
because it will make people question their faith, and people might get mad at you. Like, why would you want to show this book? They really think about it. It might change, and people change really quickly if they really like it.
So it could be a dangerous book.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, I mean, they're like saying that it's pretty like, I'm not saying like dumb,
Yeah.
like to worship a water tower, because to do those kinds of things, it'll be like really out of the ordinary. So yeah.
It's a very open-minded book.
I kind of thought so too, and like I said before we picked it, I thought a lot about it. I wasn't sure that teachers would want their students to read it.
Risky choice.
Risky choice. Okay, so maybe that's what we should say. It's a risky choice. You liked the book. It could open some doors that people may not want to go through. But it's called Godless by Pete Hautman. Anything it reminds you of? Anything else you've ever read that this book reminds you of?
Not religion-wise, no.
Or any style, the way the writer wrote? Did it remind you of anything else you've
Well,
read?
reminded me of one book.
Which one?
It was called The Lightning Thief. I'm not sure.
What was it
Lightning
called?
Thief.
The Lightning Thief?
Yeah. It's like a mythology book and very interesting.
Okay, so again, it touched on that idea of God in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I always like to end with everybody recommending their favorite book. Favorite book of all times? Lydia, what's your favorite book?
I don't know.
All right, think about it. Richard?
I don't really have a favorite book.
Okay, you just like to read?
Yes.
Okay. Joseph?
The Lightning Thief, yeah.
The Lightning Thief. Okay.
Favorite
All right.
book.
Last chance. Lydia?
Godless.
Oh, all right. We got a recommendation for Godless by Pete Hautman. All right, I want to thank all you guys for coming down here. Richard Padilla and Lydia Gutierrez and Joseph McConico, all from Wilmington Middle School in Wilmington, California.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And a recommendation, guarded, but we recommend Godless by Pete Hautman. And I hope you'll join us next time for another edition of the Book Club of the Year for Young Adults. I'm Kitty Feldy. Thanks for being here. So what else do you like to read?